What's up, my derps? It's your boy Greg. Listen, on today's episode of Cast Guidance, we're going to talk about how to take more risks. All right, go ahead and add a D4 to your ability check, and let's get better at D&D together. Before we begin, don't forget, roll to hit that subscribe button, add an extra attack to the notification bell so you don't miss any awesome content. Risks are really risky business. Say that 10 times fast. Taking risks is a major part of Dungeons & Dragons, so let's explore how to get past the barrier to entry. Here are 5 ways to take bigger risks at your table. Tip 1. Communication. Obviously, it can be scary disrupting your group. Nobody wants to be the bad guy in this session, unless you're playing the evil alignment, which already is a big risk in a group of lawful good characters. But seriously, it can be daunting to express your thoughts and ideas to a group of relative strangers, let alone longtime friends. It requires a bit of communication. Maybe before or after your sessions, you could speak with your team and let them know you have these ideas of things you want to do or goals you want to achieve, and let them know you're aware that it's disruptive to the overall group goals, but that you'd like to give them a shot. That's what D&D is for, exploring new and challenging things in an adaptive way. Discuss with your table how this might affect them and be prepared for any reaction. They may not accept it, but they most likely will, and that's what risk-taking is all about. Just be open to the conversation. Then get creative with it, and let's explore that in Tip 2. Tip 2, creativity. Risk-taking is all about being creative. I'm a firm believer that there is a creative solution to any problem you have, in life or at your table. The more creative, the better. Risks can be mitigated if you allow yourself and your table to be creative. So, taking step 1, maybe you've communicated something risky you'd like to do in your next session. Now it's time to find creative adaptations to resolve or mitigate some of that risk. Maybe, for example, you're in combat and you're generally relied on as the healer, but you think you see an opportunity to flank the enemy and strike a final blow. Okay, I'm following. This sounded juicy, let's get it. The enemy is used to you being in their front in line of sight. So maybe you begin mitigating the risk by casting Major Illusion, creating a duplicate image of yourself in the front, just whooshing healing spells. Or maybe you cast Phantasmal Force to make your enemy believe you're still out there. You've cut down the fear of you being spotted while you use your entire action to dash into position. Has the BBEG seen you? The DM doesn't tell. Your turn comes back into rotation. You move in behind the BBEG, hoping she hasn't noticed you're not out front anymore. You unsheath your dagger from your waist. In a rarely practiced and somewhat clumsy action, you plunge forward. As the BBEG turns on you and grabs your hand, But what an awesome story will be told of your heroic adventure. That's what makes bigger risks so worthwhile. Let's discuss further in Tip 3. Tip 3, win-win. When taking big risks, even if you lose, you win. You just created a memorable moment in your story, something everyone at the table will remember for years to come. As the old saying goes, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. Fortunately for you, even if you lose big, you still get rewarded big. So why not take the chance? Something that folks seem to forget is that Dungeons & Dragons doesn't end even if your character does. Some of the most memorable moments in the game is losing a character you thought you'd never part with, only to be presented with the opportunity to start another. Your character may be injured, killed, or worse, I guess, but you, the person behind the character, doesn't have to leave the game. So risk it. Disrupt the story. Be creative and communicate with your team if it helps you feel more comfortable. Then perfect it through experience. More on that in Tip 4. Tip 4, experience. This is really simple. We've all been told practice makes perfect. Well, that's the case here. The more times you take risks, the easier they become. The more creative you'll become with it, and the more interesting your stories will become. We're not trying to derail a campaign, and it's always important to remember it's a team game, so the balance of being overly disruptive versus overly passive is important. But if you openly communicate with your team and ensure they understand your point of view and they are on board for it, then go for it. In the illustrious words of the great Shia LaBeouf, just do it! Whether your DM is about the rule of cool or a rules lawyer, it's also important to know your limitations. And that's why it's Tip 5. Tip 5, know the rules. So you really want to know how to take more risks in this game? Know your character. Know your spells, know the rules of the game. The more you know, no, this isn't a PSA, the more comfortable you'll be with attempting and requesting to do risky things within the game. For example, If you know you take 1d6 bludgeoning damage for every 10 feet you fall to a maximum of 20d6, maybe you are also aware of some kind of buff that mitigates the damage like Featherfall. Or maybe your HP is above 120 and you're able to successfully take max damage, but also fall prone. So the more aware of the rules you are, the more creative you can be within them. And in this case, you might just take the risk of jumping off that cliff. Take more time to study your character and maybe even, dare I say it, open up the Dungeon Master's Guide and sneak a few peeks there to understand the mechanics of the game itself. This is a hot take, but this will better equip you to make informed decisions and educated risks more readily. So, was it worth the risk watching this long? If so, let's quickly recap the top 5 tips on how to take more risks in your TTRPG session. Communication. Be open about your ideas and desires. Creativity. Get creative to lessen the risk. Win-win. Even if you lose, your session still wins. Experience. Practice makes perfect. Know the rules. Study your character and the game mechanics to make better decisions. Keep coming at me with your ideas on how to be better at the table. This is something we're going to grow together. Feel free to message me directly at Gregulus Designs on all platforms or leave a comment below and I'll do my best to respond. As always, don't forget, D&D isn't a game you win. Let's cast guidance on each of our tables to enhance each other's experiences. Thanks, Derps. See you next week with more from me, your boy Gregulus. Hey Derps, thanks for watching. We're trying really hard to build this channel up, so if you could give us a subscribe, that would be really helpful and appreciated. This community matters to us and we want to hear your voice. Let us know what you liked or didn't like and let's chat in the comments. Also, don't forget to check me out playing D&D on the D&D show every other Sunday. The link should be somewhere over here or here or here. Thanks!